All right, well, let's look at the calendar. The syllabus is posted. That's more like the rules and policies and all that. The calendar is probably what's more helpful to see what's coming up. Probably the first thing to note is a test on August 26th for the even block people, which is you guys. I've said this before. I'll say it again 100 times before we get there. There aren't any retests, so you've got to come ready to go. You can't use the, I had an off day, I forgot to study, I had a game last night and I just bombed it. None of that works anymore. Like, you've got to come ready to go. There just aren't any retests. It's like, it's part of growing up. Like, we leave the childish things behind, we press on toward being a more college-ready, college-bound student. So, no retest. Every year I say this 100 times, and every year someone bombs the first test and wants to take a retest. And usually their classmates answer for me when they ask, because I've said it a bunch. So I don't mean to be mean, but it's a change in policy from Algebra 2. So I just want to make sure you're overly aware that you cannot take a retest. Looking ahead, we tried to do this where you could tell easily if it was a block day or not a block day. So if Wednesday and Thursday are separated, then that's because we have class both of those days, and it's a regular, not a regular, I don't know what regular means. It's a 1 through 7 school day. If Wednesday and Thursday is combined, like next week and the next week and the next week, well, then those are block days, and I'll see you guys on the Thursday, and I won't see you on Wednesday, and that also means you have late arrival on those Thursdays. And so you look through, and there's a couple places that they're split up, and most of the places they're together. So hopefully you can make sense of that. Pep rally's on there this Friday. I think it's Wear a Hawaiian Shirt Day, so participate in that. That'll be good, silly fun to do. What else? We do very little work from the textbook, and I mean almost none, maybe actually none. We try to do a worksheet packet, and I didn't check this morning. We don't need it, so we don't need it today. But that means at the very first of the unit, I'll give you a packet, and the first few times, some people's reaction is, oh, crud, this is a ton of work. And I guess it feels like a ton of work, but you have to remember it's the worksheets for the whole unit. So you don't get overwhelmed tomorrow when I hand you, I think it's 12 pages this time. So it's like, oh my gosh, why are we doing 12 pages? Well, we're doing 12 pages over 2 weeks. So it's an easy way for me to get it to you all at once, for you to have it all collected and together. And then if you miss one day somewhere in there, it's not like, which worksheet did I miss? No, you got them all, and you're good to go. Also, I post the packet in Schoology. I mean, that's for the people who are online. You guys are online. You can print it all at once if you want. It would be 24 single pages, or you can print them day by day. Your choice for you online guys. And for you that are in person, this doesn't happen often, but occasionally a student really wants to study. They know that it was a tricky unit or whatever, and they want to do well. And so on the review, they may want an extra practice on the review. Maybe we worked a bunch of it in class, and they're like, man, I'd like to try that again on my own. Some of you are thinking, that's crazy. Who does that? But there are students who do that. If they know they need the extra help, well, it's all posted in Schoology, so you can go open that file and print off pages, 23 and 24, and try those again. All right, I guess you could do that for any worksheet that you weren't sure about or you wanted to try again. I'll also post the lesson videos, so if you miss a day, it's there. And again, here's something else that very few people do, but I can tell by looking at my YouTube stats that some people do it. If there was a lesson that you're like, I didn't really get that, I want to listen to that again. Or we get closer to the end and you're thinking, I didn't really understand worksheet 2, or maybe I missed that day. I need to go back and watch that. Well, it'll still be in Schoology. You'll just find the folder that's labeled Friday, August 13th, and you could watch that video again. Again, I'm not expecting all of you to watch every video, watch me live and then go home and watch the video. That would be dumb. But it is there, and there are topics where you may want to see me do it twice. Last year in calculus, I knew it happened because there was one video where I had, I think 100 students, virtual and in person, and that video had like 150 views. I'm like, you're watching it more than once, which is great, or they're sharing it with their friends, which I don't think that was the case. I mean, I'm a good calculus teacher, but you're not going to share my YouTube videos. I'm not going to go viral with teaching pre-cal or calculus. But it was clear that with 150 views, like a bunch of people had watched that thing more than once. And I remember it was a harder topic, so that I was glad, not because they were watching me, but because they were taking the steps they needed to learn the stuff. And so Schoology is great. I mean, it's kind of a pain for me to keep it all up to date, but I have to do it for our virtual friends, and so you guys can take advantage of it as well. Any questions on Schoology or the calendar? Yes, sir?
So for the packet, would you grade it like day by day, or would it be at the end of the unit you take the whole packet?
Okay, good question. How does the grading of the packet work? It depends. It's never, I don't say never, it's rarely day by day. Rarely will I take up something the next day because everybody's got other stuff going on and somebody gets sick or you got a game day and you're swamped that day. My encouragement is that you work it every day, but you got stuff going on, and so I usually take up stuff once a week or so. And so I'll just say, hey, rip off worksheet 1 and 2, and we'll turn those in. Now, that's only 2, and those are easy ones, so we wouldn't do that. But maybe next block day, we'll turn in 1 through 3 or 1 through 4 or something like that. So it's a good question. The answer is it varies, but it's almost never one at a time. It's usually a chunk of them, and then whatever's left on test day. So that's a good question. Other questions? Let's poke around Schoology for a second here. So courses. So one of your courses will say Pre-Cal AB. If you're watching at home, you could be Pre-Cal Virtual if you're at Kingwood High School. I have a few Atascocita students, and I have a few Summer Creek students. And thanks to Schoology, I'm not able to link them, so I get to see all of them separately. You guys would only see one of these, of course, plus all your other classes. They should all match, so I'll just look in Pre-Cal, I guess Virtual, because those are the people that need it more because they're not in here. You guys in class, in person, you don't have some of this stuff because this is specific to virtual. Welcome to Pre-Cal, welcome video, daily attendance check-in. That's virtual people. You don't have those options. After that, it's all the same. So current unit, number 1 is functions. You can click on that. There's the whole packet ready to go. I don't think there's anything in this first folder. Function intro, there's nothing in that folder because I haven't posted this video yet. But after third period, this video and the worksheet we're doing will be in there. For you guys that are watching online and you're virtual, by the time you watch this is where you will have found the video. And the worksheet will be there too, so that's a little bit weird. You guys in here, it's not posted yet, and you likely won't even need Schoology. For you guys, you're probably, for the in-person people, you know what, let me back up and say that off camera. So I'm going to pass out a function identification worksheet. Decide in groups, and you can just work with the people around you. I didn't force feed groups today. I usually will. Decide in groups which of the relations listed below are examples of functions, and justify your answers. What's a function? I just can't help but be a teacher here and say and remind you a little bit. What's a function? What makes something a function or not a function? Do you remember?
It works on the graph.
Okay, it works on the graph. That's pretty vague. That might be right. What do you mean it works on the graph? Can you be more specific?
I know one function is the quadratic one.
So what was the function that you said, or what is a function? What's the example you were given?
The quadratic.
Okay. Yep, that's a function. So that's an example of a function. But in this little worksheet, it's going to say decide what's a function and justify your answers. So how do you know that that's a function? The pencil test, okay? Be more specific. What do you mean by the pencil test? You might be right. There we go. Vertical line test. Now, most people remember the vertical line test. So what is the vertical line test? Make sure. It can only pass through it once. Or not more than once. It can pass through it 0 times, but it can't pass through it more than once. All right, now here's the trick to this worksheet. Justify your answers without saying vertical line test. So you're going to have to come up with some, like, why does the vertical line test work? We're going to go kind of deeper than, yes, everybody remembers the pencil test, the vertical line test. You run it across, and graphically it's super easy to tell. Like we were gonna run this thing at class today as put you in groups and have you present, like each group is one of them. But then it's not really fair because what about number 4? Is that a function? No. Okay, there's not much to present on number 4. Some of the others require a little bit more thought. So I want you to say whether it's a yes or a no, and I don't want you to say vertical line test. I want you to give some other justification. I don't even want to say to give you hints yet. So words like inputs and outputs, those would be good words to use. So there is a hint there. All right, so I'm going to press pause on the video. You guys at home try it and unpause when you're ready. Somebody give me a reason. Hold on, let me. Okay, so you know the parent function is a function, parent function, and you flip it over, it's still a function. Okay, I'll buy that. It's not really what I was thinking about, but that's accurate. What else were you? Different x's. Oh, I don't want. I mean.
Like no repeating.
That's just what you prefer.
No repeated x's.
Are you recording?
I am. Anything else that you said for that one? No repeated x's.
Each input only has one output.
That's like the textbook definition of a function right there. Each input has exactly one output. So that's like, if we teach this from scratch, that's almost always what the teacher leads with. And we end up at the vertical line test, and that's what you all remember. But the big one is each input has exactly one output. In fact, you could, if the answer is yes, you could probably use that justification for all of the rest of them that are yes. So there's the giveaway right there. All right, number 2, is that yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Why? I
Each
gave away the answer there. Yeah, each input has exactly one output.
I wrote each x has its own y.
Each x has its own y. That's a good way to think about it. Each x has its own y. Has one y.
Couldn't x's share the same y?
Yeah, let's be careful. X's could share a y. I wish they'd put, like, if for some reason 7, 4, if we added a column, each x has its own y. Each x. So this is a function still, but I don't think we could say each x has its own y. So how could we phrase that using that same kind of language?
Y value does not repeat for the same x.
Vice versa.
So, but the y values can repeat, but they have different x's. So we're on the right track there.
No,
Just no x like.
each x has or goes to 1y. I mean, that's just a different way of saying each input has exactly one output.
Mhm.
How about number 3? Function or no?
No,
No. Why not?
because 5 stuff.
Yeah, 5 goes to 6, 5 goes to 1. That's not a function. Function means you know what's going to happen. This thing functions. There's some machine that's pointing you to what the answer is, and if it's pointing to 2 different answers, it's like if 5 is my input, I don't know what the answer is. That's not a function. How about number 4? Yes or no?
No.
No. Why not?
Because it repeats the x value.
I think a different way to say that. So multiple,
X values for the same y. Or no.
the other way around. Multiple
Yeah,
y
no
values
No shared x.
from one x value. Multiple y values from one x value. Number 4, I mean, what reason do you want to use for number 4 that I prohibited you from using? Vertical line test. So today's the only day I'm going to prohibit the vertical line test. So come test day, if you get one of these, you can definitely say vertical line test. But vertical line test would not have worked for justification for 1, 2, and 3, unless you took the time to graph it. If you graphed it, then you could still use the vertical line test. But we'd like to understand what's going on more than just saying vertical line test every time. All right, how about number 5?
No,
Why not?
No clue.
because if y was -1 and +1, then it would share the same x.
Okay. The same x, I don't know what it is, but the same x leads to
Yeah.
y equals plus and minus 1. That's true. So it doesn't pass the vertical line test at y equals 1. I don't know what x is, but at 1 and -1, there's some value of x that leads to both of those. It says graph it. I don't know how you're supposed to graph that thing other than
With the calculus.
with a calculator or
Like the calculus calculator.
oh, you could turn that on and you could see what's going on here.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You guys could have told me. Desmos.com. I don't know how familiar with that. It's pretty amazing. It's really complex, but it's also really simple. Like, it has a simple interface, graphing calculator. So it does some crazy stuff.
If x and y can be negative and positive up to infinite values, it would just be going one way out and one way negative.
What?
So there's y to the 4th equals 8x squared, thanks to Desmos. So you were right. It does not pass the vertical line test. We use the example that y equals plus and minus 1 has the same x value. So wherever that is, like right in here, there's one x value that leads to both of those y values. So you're right. That is not a function. I don't know how it expects you to graph that. But the answer was no. All right, 6 and 7 I like because you really can't say vertical line test for that because you couldn't graph those. So is 6 a function?
No, it's a shared x value.
Because each input has 2 different outputs. You're saying it's
Well, be careful. Not each input.
Oh, well,
Some inputs.
some inputs have
It
different.
has shared x values.
Some inputs have multiple outputs. And really, as long as there's one input that has multiple outputs, it's not a function. 7's probably my favorite one because it's like the least mathy one on there. There's no numbers, no equations, no nothing. But is it a function?
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Yeah, because no, but that's the colors. You're looking for people as x's.
Yeah, x and y, input, output. So yeah, each input has exactly one output. Tom doesn't have blue and green eyes. That would be unusual. I don't know how Tom would do that. I mean, I guess you have different color eyes. I think it would still be a function because he'd have one blue and one green or whatever I said. My favorite, here's the last bit. So this is backwards day. You did the work already. Your worksheet's done. Here's the notes for today. My favorite representation of a function is the vending machine. And a functioning vending machine, you know what you're going to get. So here's the buttons, the input. We'll just call them buttons 1, 2, and 3. And maybe button 1 gets you a Coke. And button 2 gets you Dr. Pepper. And button 3 gets you a Sprite. Is that a functioning vending machine? Yeah. What about, I think we have some vending machines in this school that have 100 buttons on them. Right? And you get water. With any button you push, you get water. Is that a functioning vending machine?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what you're going to get. Like there's inputs, but each input leads to exactly one output. So yeah, that's a functioning vending machine. I guess it's a boring one. I hope you like water, but it's a functioning vending machine. What would be a non-functioning vending machine? What am I going to have to do to draw that?
If one had water and Sprite.
Yep. At that point, that's not a functioning vending machine. Right? And I mean, you would say that vending machine's not working. If you push a button and you don't know what you're going to get, you would say that vending machine is not working. It's not a function. If you get both of them, well, that's great for you. You've got, a half price drink there, but it's still not a working vending machine. So that one is a no. But that's all saying the same thing. You guys said it a bunch of different ways. Each input goes to exactly one output. And that's it for today. So no homework today. Kind of get into the real stuff tomorrow. But function inputs and outputs is important, so we took a whole day to talk about it.